Hey, how's it going? So, I just wanted to talk about my day today. But before I do, I wanted to say that I have been a little insecure about doing videos, especially the kind that I'm going to do right now. And I shouldn't be. um, but I was. And so when I sort of start feeling that way, I'll get little signs from various places that let me know that I'm not. I'm not. I don't know if that works. It lets me know that I'm on the right track, at any rate. So, earlier I saw someone talking about they do videos, and then they were kind of saying sort of what I'm saying right now, but they have said it like over the course of many videos. But she was saying that she saw someone else doing the same thing, and she was sort of felt supported by the fact that this person was also doing it. But in their video, what this other person that saw the other person, I know that's kind of a mess, but bear with me. When she saw this other person doing the videos, she said that that person articulated how difficult it is to sort of describe these things just to other people. And I get that. But for me, the thing was that I knew other people were doing it, but they don't often talk about what the feelings are behind them going ahead and doing it. So I got encouragement from that person and the other person that she spoke of. And then other places where I just get little signs and synchronicities that let me know that the way the synchronicities work is that it'll be a meaningful occurrence to you personally. And you will then be able to attach it to whatever it is that you are thinking about, that you're then sharing with other people. So, anyway, I get to feeling a little insecure, and then things happen to make me say, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. Because at the same time, I'm feeling like you really should go talk about this in front of a live camera. So here I am. Okay, so I woke up this morning. Things were fine, normal. I did my little normal morning thing and just sort of set the tone for my day by just acknowledging and being grateful for everything that I have in my life. And that is just a good way to start the day, rather than waking up and going, oh, I gotta go to work, and oh, the clock went off, and oh, it's raining. Like, just learning to dispense with that sort of negative things that act like those little weights to hold your line down when you're fishing. You'll get like little weight attachments like that. And when I say you, I mean me. So, okay, I did that. It was fine. It was great. But things happen and time passes, and the tone of the day, the mood will change, and it won't necessarily be because of something I'm doing. And I guess that's that empath thing where you're like feeling the emotions of other people that are just like sort of floating around free in the air. And I have like a energetic windsock that catches them. Yay. It's not always like things that make you feel like low. Also, I'll get like just super happy feelings sometimes for no apparent reason. Not that I'm having an unhappy time, but it's just that it'll occur at a point where I'm just like sitting there, not like nothing's happening, happy or sad. It's just sort of a gray area, and it's fine. But also you get the other stuff. So I was getting the other stuff, and all day just kind of trying to not fall into those like ego holes. So I made myself some notes. You'll see me looking at them to consult. So I just kept having like these sort of lower feelings that by the time the day ended, I was kind of really struggling to stay positive and not go angry or not go sad, because I'm just sitting around here in my house. There's nothing happening to warrant either extreme of emotion, And yet, all day, super sensitive, like if someone said a wrong thing to me, it would like break my heart or something. It's kind of unpleasant feeling. Please stay. So, and it's also, there's a cause for some of what I'm feeling, and it's some of what I think a lot of people are feeling because of where this particular thing is activating this in us. And so this is something I've noticed for some time, and I even said something on Twitter at least once, and I asked the question, has anyone else noticed how everyone is congested? And when I say everyone, I mean the people around you in the room, the people on the other side of the screen that I'm hearing sound congested. And I'm like, everybody cannot have a cold. Everybody cannot have allergies. Everybody cannot have COVID. Everybody cannot be huffing powders and clogging up their noses. It's like, just, I'm not a math guy, but it seems like statistically, for everybody across the board, including and excluding all of the people I named, that's just, it's like universal, It's more than like one person's personal nose activities, So, but the thing is like, I know part of the cause of that, and it's, the sun's been going crazy for a while, and every once in a while you'll hear some alarmed news person talking about some peak in some kind of activity. And I mean, if you're close to the sun, like closer than sitting on Earth, like maybe closer than the space station, closer than the closest planet, it's gonna affect you. But it throws off stuff that's highly energetic, and it comes our way, and it stays dang powerful. So one of the effects I have learned, I sort of felt like that would have something to do with it, just because of the widespread effect, but also because I saw a video of someone and they fully verified it before I even knew that I was going to approach the subject. And that was that the energies coming in from the sun are messing with all of our sinuses. And that's interesting to me because of the way like the moon can affect all of our inner water. Well, somehow the sun is doing these things to give us flu-like symptoms. Because I know I don't have any kind of cold or anything like that. Because I grew up having colds. I know what that feels like. This feels different. But my nose is like running all the time, and I'm congested. It's crazy. And I have a neti pot, which thank goodness, because if I didn't, I'd be hurting, because all of this activity in here has made the inside of my nose painful. So I just am sharing that because I know other people are being affected by it and maybe experiencing some of the same kind of symptoms. So don't feel like you have something wrong with you. if you can rule out everything else, there might be an illness. Like, it's this partially the sun doing stuff to us. And I always thought, well, not I always thought, but when I thought about it recently, because this stuff only started happening to me relatively recently, where I could actually take notice of what was happening to me and separate it from. It's so complicated to try to explain, so I'm just not going to. But I will say that, well, I don't know. There's reasons for it happening, and it's not anything to feel like you have some kind of weird illness that could, like, hurt you. So, yeah, there's that. Let me see here. So, here's kind of a funny thing that kept happening. When I started having these kind of overwhelming feelings, and they were kind of, or else I would not be here talking about my butthurt day. But that's how I felt all day, because, not 100% of the day, but I just was, like I said, feeling super sensitive, and like everything was totally hurting my feelings, and I knew it was like, come on, it's not really that bad of a thing, but it just felt like it was, cut to the heart, like, and there nothing like that going on here to affect that set of circumstances. It's just so weird, like, receiving all this strangeness. But I feel like when that sun stuff is happening and it's messing with my sinuses, that is like some sort of barometric pressure. And actual barometric pressure does stuff to us too. Like, everything around us is doing something to us. And when it gets overwhelming and out of the blue like that, my coping skill is to breathe through it. Deep breathing, like directly concentrating on my breathing for the purpose of calming, for the purpose of, breathing through some sort of uncomfortable feeling. And so I would get upset and then somehow or another I would see the infinity sign. And the infinity sign on a tarot card is over the person on the tarot card, like a halo over their head in a way. And they're pictured with a lion, and it's supposed to signify that the individual on the card has the strength, and I'm gonna say inner strength, because it's a lion and you could be perceived as food, so that it takes some kind of fortitude to just get right up in a lion's face and put your hands right by their mouth. So there's that. And then, as an exercise for myself, like a long time ago, I think it was to sort of like get me to do deep breathing without thinking about it so much, because then it just, I don't know about anyone else, but it just gets strange. Like, it can't breathe normal when I'm trying to think about it, I guess, I discovered. So I came up with this technique, and it is an 8 laying on its side, or an infinity symbol. And as I breathe, I inhale going up one side like I'm in a roller coaster car, and then, like, in a very Escher-esque way, when I reach the peak, release my breath, like exhale, and then, like, using the downward gravities, the downward curve, and I exhale until it starts, you get to the bottom of the curve and it starts to incline again to head up to the other loop. And I just repeat the process. Inhale until I reach the peak, exhale until I get down to where it starts to ascend to the next peak again. And it's funny because I didn't really pick up on it at the time. I'm great that way of figuring it out later. But I was like, I would get upset and be going, what is going on? Okay, I know what's going on. Stop asking that dumb question. And I would get like irritated with myself, or some sort of thing like that would happen, because there wasn't anything happening here to precipitate me feeling super sad or kind of angry, you know. I just was feeling it, sort of, and resisting it, which I gotta learn not to do that, because that just makes it harder. So every time I was getting upset, I would see the infinity symbol somewhere, or the word would come up, and I finally was like, oh, that is Spirit talking to me. Hello, say hello, hello, we hear you. Okay, so yeah, there's that. That was something that happened. And then I'm trying to integrate new techniques or new behaviors rather. Like, I've had, like most of us, some cycles that repeated and repeated ad nauseum for years that were not helping me, were not making me happy. And the way to repair all of those things is, I find, instead of looking outwardly for something to blame, what am I doing is now the way that I go to figure out what's actually happening with me, because it's happening with me. It's not really going on outside of me. The action's inside, like inside of me. So the heck am I looking around outside of me for to fix something that's going on with me? I know that's the reflex. I know that's the impulse, because that's how we've all sort of been raised to be. But I have subsequently learned over my life that it does not have to be that way. There is a whole other world of ways to consider ourselves and our circumstances and better deal with them. Like, I was going to say, it's like there's a plan to keep us from developing well, but it's not that there's like a plan. There are sort of forces and sort of situations that we've created that we've created in our society, where things go a certain way, and you're expected to do them and experience them in a certain way, because the stuff that we were not taught was not taught to us, because it gives us a lot of power. And there's a lot of people that would prefer that just a few of us be powerful and the rest of us not so much. In fact, so little that we can be easily manipulated into doing things that, if we were not being manipulated and we could see the situation like maybe from a different, higher perspective, so you could get the entirety of what's happening to you and not just what's right up next to you, becomes the only tree you can see out of the whole forest. But those things, I mean, I didn't start figuring this stuff out until into my fourth decade, well into it. So I feel like I was late, and I was asking myself, what is wrong with you? How did you miss all of this? But in a way, I didn't, because also subsequently I've learned that some of the teachings I was already doing, and no one taught me it. So this comes back to a sort of thing that's often talked about in like the spiritual community, which is that we know stuff, and before we're born, we create the circumstances of our life and the people and how we're going to live. Like, so many details, and it sounds unreal because we're trained to think like something that sounds unreal can't be a real thing. Like, imagination doesn't make stuff happen, Like, the video I saw earlier today, one of them was talking about how if you use your imagination creatively, there are examples of it. Of your imagination going from being in your head to being a solid real world thing. Like, somebody imagined a chair, and now we have chairs that are real. So that is kind of what I was referring to. I know I got sidetracked there, and I don't know why I went off in that direction, but so now I want to talk a little bit about, like, all in the same vein, embracing the law of indifference. And it's funny, well, not funny, haha, but I had written enforcing the law of indifference, but really what I meant was embracing it, because how do you enforce it? It's I don't know, maybe I have to think about that more, but I did change it to embracing the law of indifference, because that is another spoke in my sort of wheel of, holding it together. Because really, if you're not, like, investing a bunch of worrisome energy, it doesn't even matter into what, just that you're generating it, that is not helping you. But it's like that thing where they say, if you love something, set it free and it'll come back to you. Well, that's a maybe, I think. Like, it or they, whatever, might come back to you, but I don't think it's guaranteed. But what I do think is, if you stop caring, essentially, about whatever it is, then it is more likely to create sort of a polar reaction where now it wants you. So, playing hard to get, I guess it works. Same kind of thing. And that's got to be a part of how I deal with all of these feelings that come and go that I don't necessarily, like, want so much, because they're not necessarily mine. What the heck was that? Why'd you die? Oh my god, it already came uncharged. Okay, well, I guess you can see me well enough. I'm totally orange now. That's okay. So, embracing the law of indifference is kind of difficult, because we have these reactive ego things that happen to us, and that goes back to my being all sensitive and getting hurt by every little thing that's not even, it doesn't even have to be directed at me. It's like I'm all taking it personal and getting hurt. That's me hurting myself. What are you doing? Don't do that. Okay, try not to. Doing my best. But the ego works pretty hard to bait you into doing something that you would rather not be doing, that you know is not productive. So there's that constant tug of war happening. I would sure like to find a way to sort of work it into not a two-sided thing, but like a meld of things. Like the law of indifference, and get that ego to calm down and stop making a fuss and making things hard. Because we can't get rid of it. We do need it to sort of keep ourselves alive. If we had no ego and we didn't care, we'd just be laying around on the street, not worried about clothes, not worried about bathing. Maybe that's extreme, but I mean, I feel like it kind of, in a way, is what I'm saying. I don't want this to fall again, so I'm just going to stick that over there. Okay, and another thing that I really only think about this in the morning, but I should kind of remember to apply it all day long, because it kind of goes back to waking up and being grateful for all of the stuff that I actually do have. And not just physical items, but, situations and other people that make life good and worth living. And so I used to want to be like a famous musician and all that, and then it really struck me when it seemed like the beginning of their fame, or near the peak of it, that I heard Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam sort of being upset with the trappings of being rich and famous. Because you're not your own person anymore. I mean, now everybody sort of owns a piece of you. loves a piece of what you did so much that they think it's connecting you person to person directly, when it's metaphorically. That's rarely happening. You know, these people have hundreds of fans, hundreds, millions. How are they going to know that you, one single person, is having all these feelings about their song? That's unlikely. But it made me take another look at that whole rich and famous thing. I was like, whoa, maybe that's not so great. Well, then life stepped in and made dang sure that if I was going to do the musician route, it was not going to be for a long time. Like, I pretty much had that physical part of ability shut down completely for a year. And it's been years since that happened, but I still am nowhere near playing as well as I could before it happened. I can play about as well as I could after I had been taking guitar lessons for like 6 months, which is not great. Okay, sidetracking a little bit. But the Vetter situation made me, again, look at, like, well, wait a second, maybe this being rich and famous isn't all that great. And I've had years now to see people have to endure overzealous, friendly fans. And I get how you would want to deflect as many people as you want, because you have so many sort of coming at you either physically or energetically to get a piece of you. And so I thought, you know, maybe I'll just rethink that whole idea and start embracing, or start eschewing, the pursuit of material gain in the name of abundance, and redefining it as the appreciation of what I have already. And I mean, this place, I literally do not have room for more stuff, even if I had the money to buy it or the desire to acquire it. So I guess I've gone pretty far in that respect. Like, maybe not so much with the first stuff I was talking about, but this is good, though, because it does allow me to, when I'm feeling all this other stuff that I was talking about in the beginning, or just not feeling great generally, you know, I'm bored, I'm broke, I am, you know, there's nothing fun to go do, like, whatever it is, it's all kind of here already. I have just about everything I could possibly want to do the things that I would want to do with my time. So that makes me happy, actually. I mean, you can't just want, like, this, all this emptiness, all these empty things and stuff and experiences, when there's, you know, stay home and have a simple life. And it's just easier, and easier is always better. Happier is always better, and more healing. We could all use some of that. And what else was I going to talk about? There was some other stuff. Okay, me not let you look up my nose. Lots of choices. So, yeah, okay, there were some pluses in my day, by the way. And it doesn't take a lot. It doesn't have to be that big of a deal. And I will tell you some of them. So when I was out today, having my little tricycle constitutional, I saw a classic car go by me. And I looked at it, and it looked Chevy Bel Air-ish. It was a four-door, I believe. And it passed me, and I was looking at it. I was flirting with it. And then it pulled up ahead of me into a driveway. So by the time I got up to where they were already getting out of the car. But I was looking at the car, like I said, it was Bel Air-ish, Chevy Bel Air-ish, but I didn't know what it actually was. So when I got in front of it, I looked at the grill to see the emblem, and it said Oldsmobile, which was funny because I was thinking Buick, and I think they're sort of the same car. under a different name, a brand name, like they do at Trader Joe's and Costco. They'll take some brand name thing and slap their label on it. So I think that's kind of how Oldsmobile Buick works. I know that in California, where there's a car lot everywhere, there were a lot of Oldsmobile / Buick dealers, and that would be like the sign, or it would have the slash, but it would be all Buick Oldsmobile sales, blah blah blah, whatever the place was named. So that was fun, and then like the people, were like nice and said hello, and well, because I was riding a tricycle, everybody always now has a lot of attention, but they were pleasant, and the one guy was an elderly guy, like white hair, and he was, advanced, and he said, "Oh, your cars," as I was going away, and so that was nice and fun. In fact, all of the people were nice. They were waving at me because I had earphones in, so they were just assuming I couldn't hear, like, anything. And that was close to the truth. I couldn't hear a whole lot, but I could get the basics. And then the next thing was, I've been enjoying some telepathy with my cat, so that's fun. If I get in the right state of mind or the right vibration, I can not even call him and just sit out there and draw him to me. But that's taken some practice. But I'm happy about that. Because he can't talk. I have to take physical and other cues from his behavior to kind of know what he is wanting. Okay, and the last thing that I had to be happy and grateful for that didn't cost me a damn thing was I'm still having temps come and do the work that my regular caregiver does while she's out for like a surgical thing, a medical thing. And I had one that came that was great fun that I was watching movies with, but then she had to be placed somewhere else because of stuff happening within their company. And they sent someone else today. And this woman also, like, most of them are nice. Some of them are civil and kind of strained, and they only come once. And when I asked, after it happened a few times, they told me it was the reason I thought. So I'm not going to, read between the lines there. You figure it out. But this one came and she was so nice and she was just like too good to be true nice. But she was a joy to be around, like just pleasant, She just made me feel good to be around her, and you'd like that in people. Like I enjoy that when people give off like such a good vibe that all you want to do is hang out with them. Anything else? I don't want anyone to think that I'm not totally missing my normal caregiver, and we have spoken. She has become like a friend, friend light, but still. And I did get to speak to her yesterday. I had some stuff that she had to bring me. She didn't work, but I had some stuff that was delivered to her house, so she brought that over. And it was nice to see her for a minute, and I actually wanted to know how she was doing with her surgery recovery, but I didn't want to bother her, so it was good that she stopped by so I could get a look and see how well she was doing and hear about the progress and all of that, which that made me happy. So, I mean, really, it doesn't take a lot to make me happy, I guess is what I'm saying. Not a lot of money, not a lot of stuff. Like small things is good. Okay, so I guess I should say that eventually the butthurt did end, and it was, I'm sure, due to many of the things that I just said, but also I always factor in the astrological impact, because the way that works is planetary placements travel and they take time to do it. And the ones that I'm talking about, like, that's like a fast transit. But I really do know and believe that it has an effect, and it's real, is what I'm saying. So I think what happened is that there was a period of time on top of all the other stuff where this astrological stuff was happening, and that has energies of many things, of many planets, moons, whatever all of the names are of the things. Not an astronomer, so I cannot tell you all of that. I told you what I know. Where was I going with that? Oh, so yeah, I mean, it was hard. Like, I was struggling today there are worse struggles to be had, but this is all like sort of inner emotion based, and it's tiring and it's exhausting, and it just kind of takes the wind out of your sails. So, but it ends. Those transits do end, and then like the air clears magically, and then I feel more upbeat and happier and not so leaden and dragged down when I feel like there was no reason for it. So I guess the moral of all of my storyalizing is that it's always going to get better if you give it a little bit of time. And then also, if you can, don't get sucked into some kind of negative plane of reality. And the more we pull ourselves away from that impulse to just behave sort of destructively, egoically, and when I'm saying we, because I think it happens with everyone, but for me, I like to try and stop it before it starts like a terrible wildfire inside of me. Like, I don't need a spark on my darkness. I don't want to ignite it. Illuminate it, yes. Ignite it, no. Okay, now I'm done. Thank you and good night. Oh, come on.